Hey guys, what's up? This is Mando-Bricks again, and this is my mock presentation of my mock of a Mandalorian fighter. This is seen in the TV show Star Wars Rebels, and I did my best to portray it in Lego, though I can't promise that this is going to be 100% completely accurate to how it's shown. This one, I decided to be kind of ridiculous and patriotic, so I made it all red, white, and blue and even added a little sticker from a space shuttle. And yeah, that's most of the basic overview. First, I'll look at the landing position of it, and I tried to make this mostly minifig scale, but I think it might be a little bit overdone. But yep, so that's all I have to say about that. So I'm a bit disappointed in myself for that, since I'm a big advocate for making things minifigure scale. But you win some, you lose some, and this was kind of a hard design to tackle, especially in a smaller scale like that, just with the pieces that I had. So in the landing position, the main thing that I'd say is that I did build this with a landing gear, and this is just a really, really simple one that I built into the bottom. As you can see, it's kind of just, it folds in like that, and there's not really that much to it. The bottom, I definitely is not, all too pristine, but I didn't, there aren't many things that you can do about this if you're building it with a mostly tiled approach instead of a maybe a snot technique, which by the way means stud snot on top. So yep, as far as flying position, that's when things get a bit more interesting, especially with how they work in the show and how we can see some other Mandalorian ships work. So first of all, the cockpit opens like that, and you can take your minifig. This is a minifig that came in a book of the original design for Boba Fett that Star Wars made a minifigure out of. But this can be placed just like that, and then you can close the windshield on top of him. I didn't really put anywhere for someone to put the blasters away, but conceivably, you could probably just put it back there. So yeah. As far as the beginning of flights, you just close the landing gear, and then of course you flip it over, and this is the fun thing about it. I'm going to put it down so I can adjust my camera a bit higher. So basically once you pick it up, you can actually move the wings like this, and this is how it's portrayed in a lot of the scenes, as well as it's spinning, which I don't have. That's actually a really good idea there. Maybe I should eventually put a gear into this, or not a gear, but a motor to get it to spin, but I don't really have one of those accessible right now. But in any case, this is the head-on look of the ship, and then here's the side view of the side version of the wings. Here's the back. I tried to incorporate all three engines, and I think I was fairly successful. Some of this is kind of rough. You can see on the bottom it has a lot of, kind of messy brickwork, just because I didn't have all the best pieces in blue and stuff. So, yeah, that's the majority of the ship. And then as far as, play functions and stuff, I of course did add in these cannons that they have in the front of the ship. And these would a lot of times in the show either be flying like this and be shooting the cannons, or this would be spinning around the axis and actually creating a larger field of shots. So yeah, as far as, more playable play functions, I guess you could say, I did add two 1x4, I guess, shooters. I don't really know what's called them, spring-loaded shooters. And of course that can easily fits, obviously, what they were made to fit, and that would be the regular missiles. In the show Star Wars Rebels, most of the lasers that the Mandalorians use are actually yellow, which is not a laser color that we see by any other faction. I'm pretty sure in Star Wars the lasers are determined by the type of gas that's ionized to create the plasma, which is a whole other nerdy thing that I would recommend you go to other YouTube channels that just talk about Star Wars and stuff instead of Lego Star Wars. But yeah, that's what I got going on there. Unfortunately, Lego has not made any yellow pieces to be shot out. They've only made red, green, blue, I think even orange, and I think there was a black in an old Hobbit set, and then silver in the most recent Mandalorian set. But, yeah. Actually, I think that may actually be something that they do in the future, though, with the Mandalorian fighter that's supposed to come out in later this year, because that's supposed to be a comic class fighter, which in Mandoa translates to Gauntlet, I believe, and sometimes you'll hear it called the Gauntlet Starfighter. But that I'm kind of thinking it's gonna be that Clone Wars era ship, and I'm kind of thinking that might be a good opportunity for LEGO to make a new yellow color for that, and that'll be a really nice ship, and we'll have to see what type of advancements they've made from the past design that they also did for the comic class fighter. Though we all know it's not going to be minifig scale because those things are huge. They have a troop bay and all that stuff underneath. But of course, the one that I built here, this is just the fighter version. While it is actually called a fighter. I don't know why, but it's actually more of a carrier, because while it can perform fighter type maneuvers and such, it has a large troop bay on the bottom, which has a deployment rack. So it seems to be more of a troop transport than a fighter, and we can also see it used as a signature ship at the Death Watch, meaning that it can probably carry around a lot of cargo and stuff with it. So I wouldn't classify that as a fighter like they do here, but what I have here is actually a true Mandalorian fighter design. So besides that, I don't have that much to say about this. If you guys have any questions about how I built it, actually, you know what? I do actually have a note about how I built it. If you guys plan to do something like this, I would, just like the Lego set does, I would recommend that in this hinge joint, instead of using a conventional, hinge that's supposed to be circular, use a ball and socket joint, because with the ball and socket joints, it has rigidity to it, but it also doesn't make clicking like some of the other ones do, which can be good or bad, because you may just want to make sure that it holds in place, and the clicking joints you may think are good for that, and I can't really contend that. It kind of just depends on what you want to do, but I use this so that it's kind of more silent and smooth and just a bit more, I guess, streamlined of a hinge, though hinges, especially concealed ones like this, are not particularly streamlined in any way. So, yeah, that's the only note I really have as far as building techniques. I would say if you want to make one that's more, I guess, just looks cleaner, then you could always do an approach where you basically make the wings and such made out of wall pieces, so that, you have those stacked up. Though, that can be kind of difficult, because this angle that they have here, it's a very slight angle, and I see how you can make it work for those. But with this one, at least, if you're just using, I don't really know what to call them exactly, but they're like, 3 bricks high, and it's like a 1x2, but it's 3 bricks wide, 3 bricks high, and it's a slope. If you're using those, I think the angle is not quite right for this type of ship, so that's kind of a hard technique to use. But if you want to try to use it to make the ship look more streamlined, then that's definitely up to you. And I think that would be very interesting to see come to fruition if you guys want to try to tackle this specific design. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about building techniques. There's not really much you can compromise as far as, snot techniques on the body section of the ship, because that's all pretty, just the way that it's textured and stuff, it's kind of harder to use those types of techniques, though I'm sure some of you guys watching are ingenious LEGO builders that could figure something like that out, and that would be really cool, and would like to see that eventually, so maybe put it on the internet somehow or other. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. I really hope you guys have a great day. Please do subscribe, put a like on the video. I really need the help right now getting this channel going. And have a great day, and keep on building.